Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you and be able to talk about this amazing debut album from Etherius, Chaos Order Renewal, which is coming out April 17th.
Yes.
I've gotten the chance to be able to check this out over the course of the last few days, and I just love what's going on here. I mean, I just love how thematically all the songs fit together. Every song has like this great kind of hook and remembrance to it, which is so great to hear in instrumental music rather than just shredding for the for the sake of shredding. And it's just really great to hear this kind of music in 2020.
Cool, yeah, thanks, man. It's actually, the whole journey with this record, it was really something, putting this album together. So I'm glad you dig it, and I hope everyone else does just as much as you do, you know?
Oh, absolutely. So, with that in mind, I mean, with it, coming up on 4 years since the first EP, how does it feel to finally get the first full length coming out now?
It's good. Actually, initially, we weren't even planning on having this be a full length, and just the way things fell together, because we initially had a whole record, an EP, actually. It was ready maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, and they were completely different songs. They sound nothing like anything on the album now. So we ended up working with Angel Vivaldi. Jay plays rhythm for him. Another solo guitar player. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. But he actually worked with us on producing the record. So we sat down, listened to all the material we had. We had basically demos that sounded like, record-ready songs, basically. And I sat down with him, and we had recorded and tracked everything, and, spent so much time doing that. And then he basically just, tore the songs apart, which, to an average person, I feel like that can really, break someone's heart. But it was really good. You have to be open-minded with that stuff and really kind of, listen to the outsider's perspective. And I think that was a huge part of what really let this record come together the way it did.
Yeah, and it's funny how that can work sometimes. I mean, just having like those outside sources, and especially when you got someone like Angel Vivaldi being able to help so much with the band, and obviously with Jay being in his solo band as well. I mean, it was great to see that kind of connection and him having that honesty about what was going on with the band.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of moments, when you got to be real with people, and people don't like to hear the truth sometimes, but it definitely, he stuck to it, and it came out really good, at the end of the day. And he knows how to work with Jay. He's been working with him for over a decade at this point. So, I mean, just the chemistry was there, and he kind of knew how to steer the direction as far as some of the guitar parts. The other thing was I basically had my own studio set up with drums. So, anything he changed, it wasn't like I was booking studio time. I was booking my own studio time. But, it was a little more feasible this time around for me to, just go ahead and change drum parts and do fresh takes. So...
Oh yeah, and when you have that availability to you, I mean, when you're able to have your own studio and you're able to fix up the tracks and change what's needed as the sound changes, I mean, when you invest that kind of time and money into being able to record like that, it really pays off in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long process, and as far as some of that stuff goes, it's definitely a huge payoff. And, not only that, but even just, playing in general, I feel like at this point I've recorded so much to, click with songs and Pro Tools and all that this was actually the first record where every single song is one single take front to back. There's no cutting between different takes. There's no bullshit on this record. It's just, sorry for cursing. I didn't know if I was supposed to or not. But yeah, I mean, it's like the purest form of the performance on the record with this one. And, I think in a way, it almost kind of translates to the songs, which was really cool.
Oh, and I'm so glad to hear that too, because when I keep listening to it, I was wondering if it was done in one take or it was just a masterful work being able to cut and paste things together. I mean, I love the fact that you actually did everything in one take because as a drummer, when you are able to do it in one take, everything feels like it flows together so much more naturally.
Yeah, definitely it feels it falls together naturally. You know, it's really important with like when you're coming in on the one, you gotta hit the crash a certain way and like, you know, really bring out the accents and kind of, you know, have the music, you know, speak more. So I think it definitely, you know, it all kind of goes hand in hand with how I was saying we had a bunch of songs ready before, but you know, by the time we went in to like really record this stuff, it was so well rehearsed that, you know, it was like I knew the songs like the back of my hand.
Oh yeah, and that's so important, and it's great to see that much rehearsal went into knowing the songs instead of just wasting time in the studio and casually putting it together. I mean, the fact that it went together like that and you were able to get it that well rehearsed to go into it. I mean, that stuff is so important, and it was great to see that payoff in the end because the songs really do sound like it was rehearsed and has that feeling like you were all playing together at the same time.
Yeah, and that's one thing, you know, like I'm really looking forward to getting out there and playing some of these songs live because I feel like a lot of these instrumental bands, you know, not speaking for everyone, of course, but a lot of them will have these crazy technical things going on, and you know, you go to see it live, and it's like, what happened, you know? But I you know, we're gonna really, really bring the live performance with these songs, and I'm really looking forward to playing some of them live.
Oh yeah, and I'm just imagining it, and I mean, again, like these songs really do feel like they were meant for the stage, and it's great to hear that too, because it feels like you could play the entire album for sets and it would work perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's another thing. Like, that's another thing Jay and I have specifically, like, really, really, I guess, you know, as far as we've really given a lot of value to being able to play the songs live well, because if I could explain it in a way, Jay and I kind of come from this New Jersey metal scene. We've known each other for a long time, and we were always in, you know, we were in different bands, always playing shows together and stuff. But it was always about the live performance, you know, like we were always out there to make the best possible performance, and us coming together and this whole record, even the previous record, just Etherius in general. You know, I think it really it's a representation of the Jersey scene, you know, in a way. So,
Yeah.
but
And that's just, it's so great to see that too. I mean, when you have those connections and you have those friendships and they're able to last that long and you're able to also put that creatively into a band like this. I mean, it's great to see how much musical chemistry really can pay off, and it's so cool to see that all on that East Coast New Jersey scene as well, because it really feels like everyone that's from there, a part of this record was associated with New Jersey in some way.
yeah, I've actually, so I've known, I've played with all these members and different bands at some point. You know, everyone needs a drummer, so I'm always out there playing in different bands and stuff. So, I was actually playing in a different band with John, and then Etherius's former rhythm guitar player actually had to go his own way. You know, nothing against him or anything. We all love the dude, and you know, he had some personal commitments he had to make. But yeah, I brought John into the mix, and I knew he was a great player, and everything worked out. I think that's another really cool aspect of this record, because this is John's first record, but I was really able to sit down with him. He has a great ear with some of the orchestrations we did. He's got a phenomenal ear for composition on just on as far as like harmony, you know. So like he's taught choirs, and he has like a really solid background with music theory and stuff. And the way when I worked with him on some of the keyboards and orchestrations with the songs developing, it really, I think, took it to the next level. So
Oh yeah, and that always does help. Just like you said, it's like, I mean, when you're doing so much for the band already, I mean, when you're doing drums, when you're doing keyboards, and you also have another mind that has similar ideas of what they can do for orchestration and melodies and harmonies, and you're able to combine that together and make the songs go from sounding good to sound amazing, and it sounds like that's what happened here.
yeah. Basically, I mean, even Chris, the bass player, you know, I've known him. I played in a band with him back in the day. Sleepless Empire, he was in it for a little bit, and So, like, right from the get-go, we all knew everyone was, there's no weak link as far as, any playing goes. There's no one holding anyone back, so it's just all, everyone, it's, we're going. When we're practicing, there's no holding on for anything, any of that, so.
Oh, totally. So going back into it, I mean, with being able to play with these guys in different bands, I mean, what is it like for you? I mean, obviously, with being a drummer, you can get pretty much any gig you want to because there are so few drummers compared to bands out there. So what's it like to be able to adapt yourself to these different kinds of bands?
I honestly this might sound ridiculous completely, but I will just accept the gig and go for it. And I mean, currently I'm playing in 5 bands, and even though I'm playing in so many bands, it's not. I don't look at it as like so much of a musical challenge as it is, balancing out just communicating with everyone. Like that's really the toughest part of it, in my opinion. As far as playing the songs, there's times. This will sound crazy, but there's times where I'll go on stage and I won't know the song that we're about to play. And the second I count it in, I mean, I'll have a click track, and the second I count it in and hear the first note, I'll remember all, like, thousands of hits. And it has nothing to do, like, it's because when I think of it, I'm always associating melody to my playing. So it's, I don't think it's something that a typical drummer would do, but it's because I grew up, as a guitar player, and I think a lot of that kind of assists in the stuff we do with Etherius, too.
Yeah, and that shows how valuable you are as a musician into any band that you're in, because it feels like you are able to adapt to those situations so easily. And even if you do forget something like that, I mean, like if you forget something mid-song, or if you drop a stick or something like that, it seems like you're able to, like, get right back onto it, which is so important in that live setting.
Yeah, I mean, that's all really, really important stuff. I just meant, like, as far as not knowing the song, like, I won't know the name of the song. Like, I know the songs by melody and, like, what they sound like more than anything. And it's just, like, I'm always referring to, like, all the notes that are always being played. I don't know. It's just, it's a drummer thing, I guess.
Oh, that is very true. So, with that in mind, I mean, with being these different types of bands, do you switch your drum setup at all?
Actually, yeah, a little bit. Sometimes I'll bring out less toms. I used to, my current setup is actually, like, for Etherius, I'm using a kick. It's a 2022 standard size kick, and then it's an interesting setup because I have 2 rack toms. I have a rack setup, and the first 2 toms, it's really small. They're actually an 8-inch and a 10-inch above the snare, but I purposely tuned them a little bit lower to get a little bit like a faster decay out of it. So, like, nice quick attack and faster decay. But they still sound like bigger toms when they're mic'd up. They're maple shells. It's a PDP drum kit, and so then my third tom, I have a 12-inch tom that's suspended as a floor tom. Now, I mean, I don't know. I've never heard anyone else using a 12-inch floor tom, but it's again, it's the same concept where I'll tune it low, and obviously working with the resonance of the drum shell and everything. But tune the smaller shell low in order to have quicker decay and, like, a punchy attack. And then my lowest tom is actually only just a 14, and sometimes on the left, I'll have a 16-inch. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty basic setup. It's set up pretty normally, crash on the left, crash on the right. I have my china on the right, and then hi-hat, ride. I have a splash by the hi-hat also. And then, just my double bass pedal, my snare drum. I used to do all sorts of crazy stuff, but I guess as you get older, your drum kit gets smaller and smaller.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you finally get to that point where you're having roadies on stage taking care of the kit for you, I mean, over time you eventually just want to be able to get off and on the stage as quick as possible when setting up, so having a smaller kit always helps with that. And I love the fact that you are using smaller toms, because I've always been a bigger fan of that. I mean, obviously when you have, like, the bigger, deeper drums, it has, like, that great bass sound to it, but I always feel like you get more musical tone out of the smaller toms, and it's great to see that you use that in your setup.
Yeah, I mean, I always love the sound of big toms, but that's the thing. A lot of people would be surprised because they hear the stuff on the record and they're like, "Damn, what size toms are you using?" I'm like, "Actually, that's just an 8-inch tom and 10-inch tom." The thing is, the type of wood your drum is made out of is also plays a role in, like the characteristic you're going to get out of these different sizes. So because my kit's a maple kit, the maple will have a slightly warmer characteristic to it. But also keeping in mind that it's tuned significantly lower than I guess a typical drummer would. But it translates well to recording. This is after years and years of again working in the studio with Pro Tools and miking up so many different drum kits and stuff. So it's just I thought it translated really well with this band. As far as any other bands, I don't really. I mean, sometimes I'll swap out the 14-inch tom for 16 if I'm doing anything different. But same. Usually I'll keep 2 crashes. Sometimes I'll even take out a crash. I think the biggest difference really comes down to whether I'm triggering or not. With Etherius, I definitely trigger. The music is just so fast that it's more of a production thing. It's not like the hits aren't loud or whatever. But as far as some of the slower bends, I guess some of the stuff where I'm not doing like 16th notes at like over 200 beats per minute for whatever amount of time, then it'll cut through the mix a lot better if it's mic'd up rather than triggered. So that's probably like the biggest difference between the different setups and stuff.
And what's that like for you? I mean, when you do trigger against non-triggering, have you noticed anything different as far as like the sound or how you enjoy playing or anything like that, or does it both feel natural?
Well, either way, I'm playing the same kick drum on both setups, so I'll play the same way as if I were mic'd up when I trigger. The only difference is, I guess it depends on the stage too. Because I've played, the sound guy makes a huge difference. Obviously, I've played some awesome venues with great sound guys when my kick drum's mic'd up. I remember back in 2011, 2012, I played Bamboozle Festival with another band, Darkness Descends, and I just had the kick mic'd up, but it sounded so good. I remember there was a monitor. It was just like the size of my drum kit, actually. And every time I hit that kick drum, you feel the whole kick drum through your body, like it's almost like quantizes you to the beat. I don't even know. But, it really comes down to the system you're using. I feel like that feeling I'm talking about with feeling the kick drum, it happens a little easier with the triggers at a bigger venue than not. But, it just makes the hits consistent and not consistent. It just makes them really cut through the mix. Like, people are always asking what the difference between, why you trigger, and like if you trigger, you can't play drums and this and that. But the real thing, I guess the physics behind it, if you want to call it that, is that the sound envelope of every kick drum hit is not even finishing when you have your kick drum mic'd up if you're playing 16th notes over 160 beats per minute. Whereas if you have a sample, your sound envelope, you're having a new sample for every single hit. And so by doing that, it allows it to cut through the mix. And that's like essential to having the sound translate live. And that's really all it's about. So, I mean, it's not because, you can't play or this and that. It's just paying attention to the live production of it.
Oh, totally. I mean, there's some bands where it feels so natural to just have a regular mic inside the drum. Other ones, having it outside the bass drum, and then other times triggering it. It's just like it all depends on the flow of the band and, the speed that you're looking for as well. And just, and especially like in something like Etherius, when you do have a lot of great speed and a lot of cool 16th notes that are going on there. I mean, you want those to actually be heard rather than just sound like a gargled mess.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all it is, I mean, I do like the combination of miking and kick the trigger sometimes if a sound guy will do it, but if not, at this point, the trigger, I finally have it dialed in. It's been like my biggest battle getting that to be accurate and perfect, like took so many years, but I think I finally got it right.
Oh, that's great to hear. And and hopefully, that will continue on as well too, making sure that you get all those sounds that you're looking for in the live setting too. It's like it's so important when you're going through different venues and how much things can change, but just like getting the sounds that you're looking for and getting everything set up that way. All of that can be so important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, again, it's it goes back to just how helpful it is being having a studio and just knowing which samples blend with my drum kit well, and how that works with the band sound, and what to have to give to a sound guy when you go in a live setting so that they have what they need to work with. And then, it all comes together really nicely.
Oh, definitely. And, that's also the disappointing thing that was going on, too, and as far as the live setting, with everything that's going on in the world right now, sadly having to see the cancellation of that amazing tour that was just going to be coming up not too soon, not too far away. But I'm glad to see that the things will be postponed and be able to happen in the future, because that's such a solid bill that got put together.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to it. It's really unfortunate with what's going on right now. I hope everyone's, safe out there. And, we gotta just postpone it. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's better for the people. If it prevents more people from getting sick, then that's more important than anything. So.
Oh, very much so, and it'll make those shows that much more special when they finally do happen again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, I think with that, I think that's an amazing note to end on, just like that hopeful note of everything coming back to the way that it should be, and being able to do this awesome tour, and being able to promote this album in a live setting, because it is that good. It deserves that live presence. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in the world of Etherius. And of course, the new album, Chaos Order Renewal, coming out April 17th. I love this album from start to finish. I just love what you guys do. And it was awesome to be able to talk to you about all of it.
Of course, man. Thank you for your time.
Oh, not a problem. Before we're done, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
Album's out April 17th. We'll have new dates posted, hopefully sooner than later. The world doesn't end. I guess, we got everything covered.